Hello, I'm Leigh Brown. This is Crazy Shit in Real Estate. And I just had the most delightful conversation with these two very young, very successful investors. We've got Andrea and Rachel. You're going to love this, and it's going to be totally worth you hanging around for the end. So I'll see you on the other side. So I get 2 for the price of 1 today.
Yes, ma'am. It's a package deal.
I love it. And I love that wallpaper behind you.
Thank you.
I am such a wallpaper fan. And so I'm really glad that it's coming back into fashion. And so finally I'm back in style. It only takes me a few decades at a time. So y'all gotta tell me how to pronounce your names. Is it Cwik? And it just looks like Cwik?
It's Andrea Cwik.
Cwik. But we can call you Cwik if we want to, as long as we call you right.
I hear Andrea Cwik all the time.
But it's Andrea. So you're the fancier version.
Yes. Yeah. Andrea Cwik.
Oh, is that what we do? We have to do Andrea when we say her name?
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Katie,
very fancy like.
Touch. That's what a friend does, right?
How are you doing in the path of the hurricane?
So listen, you know how the news just likes quick clicks and taps. We're getting some rain and some wind. And the biggest frustration is that my husband is down at our chicken house right now because the tarps have some rain on them. But honestly, the news is making this out to be, oh my gosh, Charlotte's getting hit. Like, I'm good. Even my hair didn't fall.
You look great. Hurricane.
I can't stop. I got to turn off Instagram. Watching these videos out of Florida is
so sad.
Literally draining my soul. But do you guys know about Realtor Relief Foundation? Are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
So look, I'm just going to sneak it in here because it's my podcast. And so Realtor Relief Foundation was actually started after 9/11 to provide help after natural disasters. Even though that was a wildly unnatural terrorist attack, it turned into natural disasters. So in the 21 years of the foundation, we've given out $38 million in direct help to people hit for their housing needs. And so like in 9/11, people couldn't go home because of all the environmental problems and the fires and the general fear, but you still have mortgages and rent payments. And so since then, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, floods, volcanoes, wherever people are messed up with their housing, we help. And we're there before FEMA is. And so what you should know is that right now I'm on the board of directors for Realtor Relief, and we're waiting on a grant request from Florida. As soon as Florida Realtor sends us the grant request, we will send money down and we will go put money in people's hands to help pay for hotels, temporary housing, rentals, whatever they have to do, because these houses are gone.
Yeah, that's really sad.
You know, the government, FEMA will come in, but FEMA gets there in like 92 days with housing. And that's a lifetime.
Yeah.
So now that y'all are listening to this, you should also know that all the overhead for our foundation is paid for by realtors. So anybody that makes a gift, 100% of their dollars go to neighbors in need. And it's not just realtors that we help. Anybody in a disaster zone can ask for help and receive that money. So I freaking love it. It's like the best thing that realtors do out there. So for all my listeners and viewers, if you go to rrf.realtor, you can make a gift, or you can text RRF to 71777 and make a gift right now. It's of course tax deductible and all that stuff. And there's little legal ease and disclaimers and crap like that from state to state, like everything else. But anyway, we're already ready to help in Florida and beyond. And we've helped everywhere, and we'll keep doing it because it's awesome. So anyway,
that's so great.
That's amazing. If you asked about the hurricane, I will take any opportunity to talk about RRF and help people make gifts. That's the Realtor Relief Foundation. So anyway, welcome to Crazy Shit in Real Estate.
Happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to be here.
This is how our conversations go. It's totally just a chitter chatter. So let's tell my audience a little about you. Now they know to say Andrea with the hand movement, just fancy like Katie. So tell them where you're located, what you do in and around real estate. Give my listeners and viewers a little bit of insight.
Yep, I'm Andrea Cwik. I started off in real estate flipping and long-term rentals, and then I moved to multifamily because I wanted to scale. So started off as a passive investor, and we're now general partners. Rachel and I started a podcast not too long ago, and it's been great just educating people on multifamily and passive investing.
Yeah, so I started investing in real estate about 8 years ago and started out pounding the pavement in single family, flips, Airbnbs, rentals. My family I have a whole family of real estate investors. So definitely like a family legacy, grew up doing it at flips and stuff when I was like 8 years old. And I'm actually a realtor in Dallas. So I'm very intimately involved in real estate, but similar to Andrea about 5 years ago, started scaling to commercial real estate because I needed to free up some time. And it's been awesome. Yeah.
So now I got to apologize for calling you Katie. I don't know why that was in my head, but it's Rachel. So there you go. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a question then. So growing up around an investor family in real estate, did your dad ever make you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki?
Oh yeah. And did you know that there's a kid version?
Yeah, actually,
Yes.
my son has that version. I got it for his stocking stuffer because it's literally like 2 by 2 inches.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I still read that one. I still prefer
And
it.
did y'all play the cash? You play the cash flow game, the game?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
we
have that
have it.
game. Mhm.
Look, if you're a listener,
We're indoctrinated.
look at all of us. We're like, it's an expensive game, but there's a reason
Yeah.
for it being an expensive game. So go find a copy of Cash Flow, play it with your teenagers. It is a wild conversation at home. And frankly, most adults could use the conversation too. So talk to me a little bit about your scaling. Obviously, y'all are very young. And so one of the reasons people don't get into real estate investing, they feel like it's too big. They don't have the available money or they're not ready for it yet. You're young. You've done this. How did you get into your first investment properties? Tell us a little bit of that story.
Yeah, I mean, I can start. We came from California, so we had some capital since the sale of our house, and we were
That
able.
helps.
Yeah, that did help. But we also took our 401k and some stock and sold that as well, and we just went full into real estate. So we just started off with buying a long-term rental because that's all that we knew. We're like, oh, our neighbor Alan, who left California and moved to Texas, he bought some rentals in Austin. I'm like, we should do the same. Like, we had no idea. I didn't come from a family of real estate people. I really didn't know about investing growing up. So definitely I started there, and I just realized it's going to take me 1,000 houses or like 1,000 years to like figure this out so we could retire early, right? So I'm like, there has to be a faster way. We are also in short-term rentals. I think I mentioned that, but we just looked for like, what are the millionaires and billionaires doing? And it all pointed to commercial real estate. So yeah, that's how we started.
Yeah,
For you listeners, let me just pipe in real quick. When Andrea is talking about long-term rental, she's talking about the single family. Somebody rents it for a year, 2 years, 3 years. The very risk averse. It's the easy way to get started, but it is definitely more of a slow burn and growth. So I just wanted to give a little quick definition on that as well. Rachel, go right ahead.
Yeah. So, to that point, we are very young. Luckily, I did grow up in a real estate family, so they helped educate. I was also homeschooled up until high school, so I spent a lot of time. I know my mom's the best.
I love your mom. Go mom. Good job.
So we literally our school was spending time at these rentals, learning about financing and underwriting, and I mean, really real world applicable type stuff, right? Not geometry. But
we do geometry when we cut pizza. So pizza is a geometry project. Just remember that.
Exactly. Yeah, it was brilliant. Anyway, so we started out doing that and definitely had our share of horror stories dealing with tenants, termites, and toilets. That's why I don't want to deal with the 3 T's anymore, or construction or contractors. Those two. No thanks.
I'm writing that down real quick. Don't mind me.
Tenants, termites, toilets, baby. The life of glamour of a real estate investor. So we definitely had our fair share of horror stories, midnight calls with the toilet overflowing, just all sorts of stuff. Tenants that were taking care of the property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then whenever we found out that, it was like a huge mindset shift, because I was like, I thought commercial real estate was only reserved for the Warren Buffetts of the world, right? Like the multimillionaires.
The ultra rich,
because you think it's a $40 million building. I don't have $40 million.
Yeah.
But when I found out that people actually crowdfund these raises, I was like, sign me up for that. I don't have to deal with the 3 T's or the 2 C's. I'm in. So, and then my mom also was able, because the whole point of cash flow game, right? You exit the rat race once you make enough in passive cash flow in order to offset your ordinary income. So that's been my goal all along. And I found out my magic number. What's that number that I need to make per month in order to retire myself for my day job? And that's what I'm working towards. And it's like totally expedited itself in the past 5 years with commercial real estate for sure.
I mean, besides writing down the 3 T's, because I'm totally stealing that. I'll give you credit, I promise, but that's fantastic. The other thing I love is that when you're talking about buying commercial real estate with other investors, you called it crowdfunding. And that's such an important vocabulary tool, because with your generation and the younger generation, some of my Gen X people, the idea of crowdfunding we think of as Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and it's an ice maker or something like that. And when we talk about real estate, we often just go to the traditional vocabulary and talk about syndication or just an investor group, a Christmas club. When you call it crowdfunding, I guarantee somebody out there said, I get crowdfunding. And that's where we have to start thinking in terms of how other people can learn the lessons and get involved in it. So when you're talking about this passive income, guys, you should know active income is the money you get from the job that you work. Passive income is money that we like to call mailbox money. It shows up based on other revenue streams you built. So that's the quick and easy definition of active versus passive. So when we're thinking about the idea of buying commercial real estate, it is so easy to go into everything is a high rise, everything is a shopping mall. What was your first commercial property? What did it look like? Tell us about it.
Yeah, our first commercial property was basically a multifamily 200 unit, and it was a value add. So that just means like there is room to remodel and make it better. One, for the community, but two, to add value. And then we are able to, I like to say, as a big flip. So it's kind of like we buy this asset. It's a big apartment building, just like you would a home that needs work. You add value to it, and then you look to sell it in a few years once it has enough income.
Where'd you find the money? So you needed to buy a 200 unit building. That's obviously not cheap. Where did you find your crowd?
Under the mattress. And that where you keep your $20 million.
So basically the general
big mattress.
Yeah. The general partnership team puts money into the deal. We find the deal, we vet the deal. I mean, it's like over 100, different apartment buildings that we're underwriting to find the one that makes sense for investor returns that we try to target. And then we look for investors that want to get into real estate. And a lot of our investors are moving from 401k into hard assets with less volatility. And we're really fast tracking for them on their investing, because it's like we've done all the learning on how to analyze these deals. I mean, hours and hours of education, right? And networking. We spend a lot of time, and we're just saying, let's fast track that for you. And here's the deal. Take a look. Do you want to invest or not? It's like really an opportunity for them.
Yeah. So can we point one thing out? It's not get rich quick, y'all. So you heard what she said about vetting 100 deals to find one that makes sense. That's one of the misnomers in real estate, is that you drive by a building, you're like, well, let me just buy this one, and you just rock and roll. There's so much investigative work involved if you're doing it correctly. But I got to land on where you started. You said you were doing this for the community. I mean, holy smokes. People forget that aspect of real estate, that you could take a building that hasn't been loved and you can bring it back. And when you bring that building back, the whole area around it does better. Plus, people who live there, they have a higher level of dignity and pride of space when they're there. Thank you for saying that. Overlook. We talk about the money. The money is there, but so is this bigger picture. So high five, ladies, high five. All right. What were you going to say there, Rachel?
So, a few points. So my first deal, it was a commercial deal. It wasn't necessarily multifamily, but it was a mobile home park, actually, 2 mobile home parks.
An ATM. You bought an ATM.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy because you're literally just like renting concrete. There's no overhead if you don't have park-owned homes. So I actually worked with the guys from Bigger Pockets back when Brandon was still there and Ryan Murdoch and all them. So I helped find them their first 2 mobile home parks and their fund 1. So that was my first taste of an active syndication, and it was freaking awesome. We ended up selling in under 2 years at a 35% IRR, which is very high. It was over double projections in less than half the time. It was awesome.
Okay, that's crazy. And the first thing you have to do when you're in that space is get over the stigmatization of mobile home parks.
Oh yeah. Well, this is the thing. And like, even
made them look terrible.
the multifamily complexes we buy are B and C class assets. They're not sexy, they're not shiny, but they make money, and that's sexy to me.
Well, and it's good housing. Like that's where if the affordability crisis that's going on, a lot of it gets solved in B and C class buildings that aren't full of fancy amenities. They're just clean, safe, decent places to live. And that's a huge space to be in. And
You got it.
I mean, mobile home parks, let's just call it, that's the original affordable housing. And it makes me so angry how so many people in the media and in the public just straight up make fun of them, call them white trash and everything else. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? It is good, decent housing when somebody takes care of it.
And they're laughing. We're laughing all the way to the bank, even in a recession, because where are people going? They're going to affordable housing. So
Exactly. So good job. I love this so much. All right. So y'all are right there in my heart and mind space. All right. So this is crazy shit in real estate. Obviously, we love hearing stories about the things nobody would ever imagine could possibly happen in and around real estate. And you kind of started with tenants, termites, and toilets. I'm guessing it can't go there, but I'm dying to know what y'all brought today for my listeners to say,
Actually, if I could add one more point with the last one, which is when we do build up the communities and we make them better, the government incentivizes us to do so. So we get tax benefits that carries on to our passive investors, which I think is a game changer when you compare investing in the stock market. There is no tax benefits to that, but the government is actually incentivizing us to make the communities better as well. So it's a win-win.
Have you ever driven by a house that you sold and somebody else's sign is in the yard? It's about the most painful experience any realtor will ever have. And then comes that moment of, oh, snap, it's on me. I didn't stay in great touch. And I can tell you, after 22 years in the business, I still go through that, but I've reduced the opportunities for failure because I have learned to do better with follow-up. And honestly, when you follow up better with the people you've served in the past, it's going to make you a better realtor in the future too. And that's what this program will get you. If you've never heard of Follow-Up Boss, you're going to love it. The best top producers in this business, they're already using Follow-Up Boss. So if you wondered why that person gets more business than you, it might be the program. There's like 250 integrations. So whatever you're using now probably could plug in with Follow-Up Boss. Keep everything in one place. You can decide how many and how often to follow up. It's all on you, but the system will be there. You do get a 30-day free trial for hanging out over here on crazy shit. Go to followupboss.com/crazy. So are you referencing LIHTC, the low-income housing tax credits? Is that what you're leaning
No,
into?
I'm not. No, it's actually, it's depreciation on the asset. And we have an engineer go in and do a cost segregation analysis. And then that depreciation is carried on to our investors. And it basically, the rule of thumb is your passive losses will help with your passive income. So.
And just a reminder, in a lot of places, you have to have a real estate license to take passive losses. So just make sure that you're talking to your tax advisor, to your tax attorney. We are not any of those things. So go verify all of that before you dive into this. But also find a realtor who understands things like what they've mentioned, IRR, who's mentioning cost segregation, depreciation schedules, because if your realtor doesn't speak that language, they might be amazing, but in a different space of real estate.
True.
Yes.
Okay.
Back to the story.
Back to the story. I'm dying.
Okay. All right. So I have one for you. I have a long-term rental in Austin. Okay. I get this picture text message to me from my renter. And it's a picture of a car in my house that has like crashed into my house. So I'm like, oh my gosh, is everyone okay? What happened? He's like, everyone's fine. I'm going to go outside and see what happened. So it wasn't him. I'm like, keep me updated. He goes outside. This person, he's fine. The car is fine. It's a little crushed into, but it turns out that the guy was delivering from a food delivery service. He forgot to put the car in park. And as he was getting out of the car to deliver that dinner to somebody, his car rolls and crashes into the side of our house. But guess what? After he delivered the food, he got into his car.
No, he did not.
And drove away. I'm like, seriously. So I was left with an insurance claim. Thank God for insurance.
Did your
And
tenant tip him?
I
You
know.
should have, but you triple tip a guy that's willing to keep going after that.
I mean, come on. That is
Oh
some
my
serious
God.
commitment.
Yeah, everything is fine. And they actually were okay. They were just like, oh, we'll deal with the construction that we had to, fix everything on the house. They were fine with it. But yeah, it was a crazy story.
Wait a minute, your tenant wasn't like unglued and upset. They're like, no big deal. We'll have some repairs. We got supper. We're fine.
Yeah. I'm like, are you sure you don't want me to get a hotel for you? Like anything? They're like, no, we're fine.
That's chill. So I'm just going to guess what part of Austin that was in. So it's,
Yeah, he might have been on something.
I mean, maybe we should offer that when somebody's dealing with the 3 T's. Take some of this before you text me. But I'm kind of loving it. He's texting you while it's in action. He's like, look what's happening right now. It's in real time.
Yeah, exactly.
Live stream.
Yeah.
Although I guess it's better that he sent it to you and didn't just go straight to TikTok live to say, look what happened here.
I know, right?
Yeah, so funny. And then even in our multifamily buildings, we've had cars in pools, cars through fences, just lots of fun stuff. Yeah.
I had a car in a unit and I haven't ever told that story. So I owned these 2 townhouses in Charleston, South Carolina. And I got a call that a car had crashed into the townhouse next to mine, driven by my tenant, who was inebriated. He'd crashed through the gates of the complex and then he thought he was heading home and he crashed into the building next to mine. And then he got incarcerated because obviously, and I found out that an incarcerated tenant in South Carolina does not have to pay rent and can't be evicted. And so I had to sit here on a unit. I can't evict.
No.
He's in jail.
What?
Yeah. And nobody was home in the unit he crashed into. I'd totally forgotten about this till you're talking about now. I'm flashing back to it. So after he sold those units, I sold those.
That is wild. I've never heard of such a thing. Oh my gosh.
So as another reason to wherever you buy investment properties, make sure you're up to speed on tenant landlord law. You should always ask if an incarcerated tenant can be evicted. So that's just my advice to you for today. All right. So Andrea and Rachel, if somebody wants to reach out to you and find out what you're doing in the space of investing, how they can learn from you, partner with you, all that fun stuff, what is the best contact information?
So you can definitely head to our website, www.goodgoodinvesting.com. It's tons of links there, free resources, etc. You can reach us at goodgoodinvesting@gmail.com. Check us out on our podcast, Good Good Investing.
And you're the youngest person who's ever said www.
I know.
That my audience is like older. I'm kind of getting that vibe, but they're cool with goodgoodinvesting.com.
Goodgoodinvesting.com.
The link won't work unless you do www.
I actually don't think the www works. I think
we're using Internet Explorer over here, okay?
Are you in Windows 95? Look, I'm currently going to go to the interwebs over here, type in goodgoodinvesting.com with no W's on it and see where it goes. And the Googles are thinking, they're thinking, come
Leigh,
on,
I gotta go. Someone's calling and my internet's going to shut off.
Join us on the Good Good Investing Project. It works. So you no longer have to use your W's there. We've all learned something.
I'm going to purposely do it every time now. Just because of this. Yeah.
I love this more than I can explain. www. Well, I can't wait to go listen to your podcast myself and get some more ideas for my next investment. Thank you so much for coming on the show and honestly giving all of my listeners a little bit of juice, because if you can do it, other people can do it too. Just do the homework. And for all that's holy, y'all, go get the Cash Flow Game and Robert Kiyosaki's book and go over with your kids so your kids can turn out like these 2 amazing young ladies. Thank you so much for being on Crazy Shit.
Thank you, Leigh.
So much.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, you know what to do. Say something nice about these 2 young ladies in the comments. Give a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. So if you found value in this episode, please like and subscribe to this channel, turn on the bell, and catch another amazing episode by clicking above. Crazy Shit in Real Estate is also available on all of your normal podcast apps. So if that's where you like to hang out, go find me, click subscribe, and most importantly, leave me a review that says you think I'm awesome, my guests are awesome, or this content is just exactly what you were looking for. And then, by the way, if there's something you need, you want to learn about something, you can comment below anytime. You can also send me a direct message if you need to remain anonymous. No judgment. But anyway, I'll only judge if you forget to subscribe and click. I'll see you next time.